Sup, you beautiful bastards? Hope you're having a fantastic Thursday. Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show, and let's just jump into it. And the first thing I want to talk about today, and yes, this is really the world we're living in news, Kid Rock is running for Senate. Or at least that's what a lot of the headlines have been saying for the past 24 hours. I looked into it, and it does not look like he is officially running yet. As of right now, it does not look like Kid Rock has registered his candidacy with the Federal Election Commission. And in fact, the only thing that's real about this whole conversation right now is that KidRockForSenate.com is a real website. As of right now, all we have is Kid Rock tweeting this picture with the caption, "I've had a ton of emails and texts asking me if this website is real. The answer is an absolute yes." Adding a moment later, "Stay tuned, I have a major announcement in the near future." When you go to that website, which looks to be hosted by Warner Bros. Records, there's links for merch, and you can sign up for email updates. Now, I will not outright make fun of the idea of a Senator Kid Rock. The last time a bunch of people did that, well, let's just say it led to such a messed up election, it made people care about the news again. So as of right now, could he be prepping to run? Maybe. Or he might just be using this as a merchandising play or a way to promo new music. And remember, even if he runs as a way to promote his music, there is a chance he may end up in the government. Ben Carson went from trying to promote book sales to being our Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. Also, Kid Rock wasn't the only Rock in the news. We had Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. There have been hints and jokes about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson actually running for the presidency in 2020. Then we saw the big news this week that The Rock is actually registered to run. But the fact of the story is that the Rock himself did not register. Run the Rock 2020 filed on the actor's behalf. Kenton Silford behind the organization and this move told CBS, "I don't have any relationship with Dwayne Johnson. The amazing enthusiasm and energy on the ground for Mr. Johnson prompted me to create the organization. The hope is that Mr. Johnson will see how much America desires the real leadership only he can provide and jumps in the race." But as of right now, none of this means anything. That said, since it seems that America wants to elect a Rock, I would like to nominate a few others. Right off the top of my head, Chris Rock, ASAP Rocky, Rocky Balboa, either the real-life movie version or the animated Brisk version. And to close it out, we have Rocky from Rocky and Bullwinkle, or the Rock that lizard threw at Captain Kirk, but with googly eyes. Because fuck it, nothing matters anymore and everything is possible. And actually, on the ass end of this story, I do want to ask, if there is a celebrity that you would vote for, who would you vote for and why? I'm more interested in the and why part. Then I want to jump into the most popular segment we have had on this show, according to a poll I just made up in my head right now. Let's talk about the wait, what? Story of the day. Today, that story is about Sammy Sosa. Now, for those that don't know, Sammy Sosa was a professional baseball player. Many see him as one of the all-time greats. Many others also focus on his drug test controversy. But the reason we're talking about Sammy Sosa today doesn't have to do with steroids or baseball. It has to do with a big change. When I first said Sammy Sosa, I showed this picture, and this picture is from 2007. So that's 2007, and then during the coverage of the Home Run Derby, this is what Sammy Sosa looks like now. And many people started shouting, "What the hell happened to Sammy?" And I feel one person perfectly summed up most people's reaction to this new look with the comment, "Sammy Sosa out here looking like Pepto-Bismol." So the question became, how did we go from 2007 Sammy Sosa to this Sammy Sosa? Does he have vitiligo, non-segmental depigmentation? Does he have some sort of condition, or is it something else? Well, based off of what we've seen in the past, it looks like it's most likely something else. This is not the first time there's been a controversy around Sammy Sosa's looks. Back in 2009, when Sammy Sosa was at a music awards show, this picture went up of him. And there was a big reaction, although not as big as today. And later, when doing an interview, Sammy Sosa said to Univision, "It's a bleaching cream that I apply before going to bed and whitens my skin some. It's a cream that I have that I often use to soften my skin but has bleached me some. I'm not a racist, I live my life happily." Adding, "What happened was I was using the cream for a long time and that, combined with bright TV lights, made my face look whiter than it really is. I don't think I look like Michael Jackson." Now that statement as a whole is very confusing. He initially calls it a bleaching cream, but then later tries to describe it as somewhat of a moisturizer that happens to bleach his skin. And so when you look at the difference between 2009 and 2017 Sammy Sosa, you understand why people think he's still bleaching his skin. As far as my takeaway from this, Sammy Sosa is 100% allowed to do whatever he wants to do to himself. It does make me wonder about his mental state, his self-esteem. Does he hate himself? I feel like something has to be going on in his head to make him go from this to making it look like I have a tan. He looks well on his way to making his skin look filthy Frank pink. And for me, I ultimately have the same reaction I have every day I read a story about someone doing $80 billion worth of plastic surgery to look like a Barbie doll. Okay, if that makes you happy, I guess. But from that, I want to share some stuff I love today, and today in awesome. And the first bit of awesome is we got a brand new trailer for Jason Bateman's new Netflix series, Ozark. Initially, I was interested, then I was excited, and now this just looks phenomenal. Everything from this trailer makes me feel like Bateman and Laura Linney are going to carry this thing into excellence. Then, if you didn't see it, I gotta share Peyton Manning's opening monologue at the ESPYs this year. It's solid and funny, despite what Kevin Durant's face did during it. Then we got the news that the Hyperloop One conducted their first fully realized test of the system, and it was a complete success. While it is exciting and I'm excited for it, keep in mind this is the beginning. This is a vacuum test. It was run at 70 miles per hour. Eventually the full speed is supposed to be over 750 miles an hour. And I just have to say, as someone that growing up was just a fan of the Jetsons and those things that they had at the bank, I'm excited about tube base travel. And for the final bit of awesome, if you are excited or at the very least interested in the Mayweather-McGregor fight that's coming up, I highly recommend you check out this behind the scenes series that the UFC is putting out on their YouTube channel right now. It gives you the behind the scenes of everything that's happening now, their press tour. The third episode of the series just went up today. I highly recommend it if you're even remotely interested. And as anyone that's watched Mayweather's fights over the past decade can tell you, this is probably the most action we're actually going to get out of this fight. Unless something unthinkable happens that flips the sports world completely upside down, we're probably going to be watching Conor McGregor punch air for a few minutes at a time. And don't take that as hate. This is coming from someone that thinks that McGregor is the better fighter overall. But as far as the specialized and limited sport of boxing, you're talking about Mayweather, one of the best in the past 2 decades. And if you want to see the full versions of everything, I just shared the secret link of the day. Anything at all. Links, as always, are in the description down below. And then let's talk about 19-year-old Tatiana. On June 18th, Tatiana was outside on her bicycle in Bakersfield, California. She was riding her bike home and she stopped for a drink of water and to refill a few water bottles. And at the same time, police were looking for a person suspected of assault with a deadly weapon who had a machete. And according to Tatiana, as she was refilling her water bottle, she turned around and she saw 3 police cars. The officers were already getting out. One already had their weapon pointed at her. According to Tatiana, the police asked her if she had recently been in a store where a suspect had a machete. She responded that she was sure she was not in that store. She then turned to Officer Vasquez, asked what was going on. He demanded her backpack. He believed that maybe a machete was in there. She asked to see a warrant. The officer pointed to the canine unit. She then handed over the backpack, but then said,
he grabbed me by my wrist like this, and then he grabbed me by my neck, punched me, and then he threw me onto the ground, and then that's when the canine came and started eating at my leg. They rolled me around. Officer Vasquez put his knee in my back, and I told him I couldn't breathe, and then he put his other knee in my head, and I told him I can't breathe, and then I started yelling out, somebody help me, they're gonna kill me.
And then police arrested her. And the reason they claimed they arrested her was for 2 things. 1, delaying or resisting an officer, and 2, aggravated assault on an officer. Now, of course, that's just Tatiana's side of things. There is also the police report, which is wildly different. Now, the first thing in the report that stands out to me is why they stopped Tatiana. According to Bakersfield Police Officer Moore, I believe this to be the suspect based on the description, location, and short time frame of approximately 7 minutes of the offense. And so let me explain why that part stands out to me. Tatiana is a 19-year-old black female, 5'2", 120 pounds, braided hair, was wearing jean shorts and a white top. Meanwhile, the description of the suspect was a 30-year-old black male, 160 pounds, 5'10", bald head, goatee, wearing a white shirt, which, hey, does technically match, and then gray sweatpants. And that just makes me wonder, what is the point of being so descriptive in who the suspect is if really the only thing that stands out is black person, white shirt? So I just wanted to point that out before we went further into the police officer's story. According to the report, Tatiana was not complying, though eventually they said she did give up her backpack and put her hands in the air. They say she was straddling her bike and Officer Vasquez came over to gain control of her. They then say 120-pound Tatiana turned her body, shoulder checking Vasquez off of his feet. They both fall. Vasquez's feet are tangled in the bike. Tatiana lands on her back on top of Vasquez, turns over. She's in the mounting position. Vasquez then punches her in the mouth, stunning her, giving him the ability to push her off. Officer Moore then makes the decision to sick the canine unit on her. This because other options had a higher chance of hurting Officer Vasquez. They then claim Tatiana thrashed around. They finally got her to her knees, cuffed her, put her in the car. And as of right now, we just have a he said, she said of the situation because Bakersfield police officers don't have body cams right now. Now, as far as the confusion of Tatiana being the suspect, Tatiana being seen as a man, Officer Moore defended this mistake, pointing out that several nurses at the hospital that they took her to, nurses there, they were referring to Tatiana as a man, and when I corrected them and advised she was a female, they were surprised and apologized for the mistake. And so that's where we are with this story right now. The NAACP has gotten involved. They say that Tatiana was targeted because of her race. The BPD, on the other hand, claims it was just a case of mistaken identity. And personally, I don't want to fully jump to conclusions, but I do feel like I do have a harder time believing the police officers, not only because the mistaken identity part sounds so crazy, but because they make her sound like a 120-pound ninja. She brazenly shoulder checks a police officer off of his feet. They describe the events after the fall like she is a UFC fighter passing guards, getting ready for some ground and pound. And unfortunately, this story is just one of the many daily reminders we get that we do need to have more body cams out there. If she's lying, perfect. Now we know about it. If the police officers are lying, something perfect, we know about it, or for some reason the cameras don't work. But in this situation, there's just a lot that doesn't add up. And then I want to talk about this 57-year-old woman who died in St. Martin from a jet blast. She was a tourist, she was at Maho Beach, which if that name sounds familiar, it is a famous location if you love to watch airplanes. The beach is famous for being so close to Princess Juliana International Airport. You have these low-flying planes just above you. But there have been more and more reports over the past year that people have gone from just watching the planes pass across overhead to some now walking up to the fence, grabbing a hold of the fence, and they try to hold on as an airplane takes off just in front of them. In fact, someone doing that and getting hurt was one of the first times I ever heard about this beach. Back in 2012, this woman got injured. There was video of it. A bunch of people grabbed the fence. Some were able to hold on. Some ended up running away. She tried to hold on, and well, maybe this will re-jog your memory. As of right now, we don't know if the 57-year-old woman was trying to hold on to the fence. It does appear she was close enough to be impacted. Currently, they're reviewing security footage. But it's stories like this that always cause the two versions of myself in my brain to fight it out. There's part of me that says, this is sad, no one deserves to die, no one deserves this pain. And then there's the other side of my brain that wants to award people Darwin Awards. People are aware of the risks. There are signs like this right there, reading danger. Jet blast of departing and arriving aircraft can cause severe physical harm, resulting in extreme bodily harm and or death. That sign is 100% accurate. And from this, I've seen people arguing that they should just shut down that beach. It's too dangerous for everyone. Others saying it's the airport's fault because they don't have blast deflectors. And I understand why those arguments are happening, but ultimately there is a point of personal responsibility. Giant warning dismissed, giant ramifications. And so I talk about this because I want to pass the question off to you. Are you of the mindset that this is a tragic accident, or are you thinking Darwin Award winner? Or are you a little bit like me where those two things are battling it out? And that's actually where I'm going to end today's show. And remember, if you like this video, you like what I try and do on this channel, hit that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Also, if you missed yesterday's Philip DeFranco show, you want to catch up, click or tap right there to watch that. Or if you want to see the newest behind the scenes vlog, click or tap right there to watch that. But that said, of course, as always, my name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.